Welcome back to the Fox Robbins Show. Thanks for watching. This show is all about developing your very best ideas in business. The Fox Robbins Show addresses the small business community if the small business is only an idea or a concept at this point, or it's actually in a business is in a startup mode, but is running into various difficulties or problems and needs some direction, or the business is up and running and it's successful but wants to make changes, such as new markets, new products, perhaps getting involved in export-import or in expanding or buying out competitors. That happens all the time.
Roll up.
Roll up. And whatever is going, we're going to address these issues as we go along with the Fox Robbins Business Show. And I'm the co-host, Bill Fox, and the other co-host is none other than the incendiary, the illustrious, the luminescent Coach Robbins.
Mr. Bill, how are you? I'm luminescent in this one. That's great. What does luminescent mean? Something about lights, right?
And I don't know, I feel like we have a tiger by the tail this time.
We do.
We're going to talk about how to buy a business. This is an entry point into having your own business. It's an idea. Coach is going to address that, but it's a biggie, and there's no way we can intelligently discuss that in one episode.
I'm glad you finished that. There's no way we can intelligently discuss that, but didn't stop there and continued on. Not in one episode, that's for sure.
We're going to have, in fact, we're going to have 4 episodes. I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, but we've busted up this topic, into four sections, because there's a lot to it, and all of which the coach is going to address as we go along. So we'll start now. This episode will be part 1, and Coach, the first thing we're going to ask you is your idea going into having your own business, starting from scratch, franchising existing business. What are your comments?
Well, starting from scratch is hard. It's done. I'm not sure it's certainly not the quickest way to get started in a successful business. You have to develop everything yourself, which can be done, and a lot of people do it. I did it several times. Starting from scratch takes time. It's the law of inertia. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, and a body in motion tends to stay in motion. And so if you're starting at rest, meaning you don't have a business, you're going to start from scratch. That's a very difficult road to hoe. You have to develop your products, your systems, your customers. Everything is brand new. It takes time. It takes a lot more time than it does either buying a franchise or buying an existing business.
Yeah. But the franchise idea is
sure. The franchise, if it's a valid franchise, everybody's got a franchise for sale. There are franchisors everywhere.
Thousands and thousands.
Tens of thousands, and 90% of them are absolutely worthless. The SBA has not an approved, but a section on their site where they've reviewed franchisors and say these are legitimate franchises.
Oh, okay.
And you can go to the SBA.gov website and look up and see, is this franchise listed there? And if it is, it still doesn't mean it's successful for you in your town.
You still have a lot of work.
There's a ton of work to do to put together and buy the right franchise for the right person, meaning you, the franchisee, from the franchisor, and the right location. But the franchise, the business is already developed. There's already hopefully a brand identity for it someplace in the market, so that if I buy a McDonald's franchise, you've heard of McDonald's, great. Now I'm going to put a McDonald's in a particular town, and people have heard of that. So the franchise is a quicker way. And there's a manual on how to start, how to run, how to hire, how to fire. Everything's all done for you. That's what you get from a franchise, is a system to follow that they have developed and they're successful in doing.
But not cheap,
Not cheap, no. I mean, they're expensive, but you get what you pay for. You're getting the value from it, right?
Okay, what we're going to talk about an existing business, buying an existing business,
right,
which you have done.
Yes, I have. I bought existing businesses. There's a lot of due diligence that goes. This is, the reason we chose this topic most especially is because there are so many businesses that are going to be coming for sale in the next 15 to 20 years. All of those baby boomers that started their business back in 1956, 1967, 1974, all of those boomers are coming of age. They're getting into their 60s. They're getting into even some of them in, the beginning of the 70s. And they're at a point in their life, they've run their business for 25, 30, 40 years. And if they're not going to pass it down to somebody, their children, they're going to be selling. There's going to be a lot of businesses for sale in the next 15 years or so. And this is one of the main reasons we're going to talk about. Well, how do you go about buying one of those businesses? There's a lot of work for it.
And I want to direct your attention to tell us about the right choice in terms of industry, size, location, labor pool, issues like this. What are your comments about making the right choice?
Well, the right choice is, are you a morning person? Are you a night person? Everybody seems to want to own a restaurant. I cannot imagine why, especially if you're not a cook or you have no restaurant experience. I mean, I don't know why people want to own restaurants. All those athletes own restaurants, but don't forget, they hire people to run them. You got to make a choice based on your own history, your own capabilities. What are you good at? What do you like to do every day? Hey, if you like to cook, start a restaurant, Get somebody that understands the financial side too. But you have to look at it and look at yourself, look inwardly first and say, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is my experience, right? And I'd like to buy a business that, I can go to work every day and, look forward to going to work because you got to do it every day. You got to think about, well, how big a company do I really want to buy? Do I want to buy a $500,000 sales revenue company? Do I want to buy a $10 million company? Can I afford it? Do I really want to jump in on the $10 million company? Am I capable? Do I have experience in that area? Right. And where's it located? Do I really want to live in St. Louis?
And labor pool.
Yeah, and what's the labor pool like? I mean, quite frankly, if I'm going to open up a technology company, it's really hard to do down in Truro. Yeah. People from Boston, it's a tough commute.
And if you want to go this route about buying a business, there might be people watching the Fox Robbins show who would want to ask you, well, how do I go about finding one? Even if that's my idea, if I want to pursue that, what's my next step, or how do I get into it? How do I find this kind of opportunity?
After you've examined yourself and say, great, I want to buy a business in one or two of these specific retail and maybe gifts or whatever, you've decided these are the type of businesses I'm interested in buying. It doesn't have to be limited to one, maybe 2 or 3 different types of business you think you want to buy. Then you got to start looking for them. And I want to tell you, it's a lot of work looking for a business. I mean, you've got to get out there and you've got to hustle. You will do this full time if you're serious, okay? Some people do it part time and kind of ease into it. Some people just trip over a business that they find, oh, Joe Smith wants to sell his business. They just hear about it, and well, go talk to Joe Smith about buying it. So you can look in the local newspaper. Businesses don't tend to publicize a lot that they're for sale because it scares employees sometimes, it scares customers sometimes, so they try to do it in kind of a surreptitious way. So you've got to figure out where are the businesses that are potentially for sale out there. You can go into the local newspaper and look. You can look in all kinds of electronic media. I personally like asking around. I'm just going out and talking. I actually, if I wanted to buy a retail gift shop, all right, I would start making calls on retail gift shops in the geography I'm interested in, and start ringing doorbells and say, hi, I'm Cliff Robbins, and would you be interested in selling your business? I'm interested in buying it if you're, and yes, no, and they say no, you move on. You say, well, if you're ever interested, give me a call. I like to talk to people.
Other people, real estate agents, as an example, might know.
Well, real estate agents might know. They're not the best people to handle the sale because they don't necessarily. No. I've had a lot of trouble with real estate agents not understanding the sale of a business.
Well,
a business broker.
There are those, there are real estate people who are who work in commercial
Commercial real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they're business brokers, okay? They're selling real estate. I have found most real estate salespeople really don't understand the business side. Yeah. They're selling the real estate. I've dealt with people wanting to sell a B&B. And they say to me, oh, the town has it valued at $1.2 million. Yeah, but it's only pulling in $50,000 a year of revenue. Yeah. So, I mean, how do you pay $1 million mortgage on $50,000? You can't, I said, so it's really not type of business you can go and borrow money and buy, because the bank's going to say, how are you going to pay me back? Yeah. But if you've got a couple of $1 million and you want to live in a beautiful home and mitigate the expenses of the home, that's fine. Then it becomes a part-time business. But business brokers understand financial statements. A business is worth what the numbers say it's worth, not what the real estate or the equipment says. What is this business doing for money? Is it making money or isn't it? Right. And how much?
I know the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, the Chambers of Commerce are good places to go and network. And oh yeah, I bought one business. I walked in on one of my best customers, and he said to me, do you know that such and such is interested in selling his business? And I was interested in buying a business like that. And I said, no, I didn't. I said, how do you know? He said, he just called me, asked me if he was in the same business, but in a different town. Yeah. He just called me and asked me if I wanted to sell. I said, bye, Malcolm. I left his office and went directly to that business, and over the next 6 months, I bought the business.
You mentioned just a minute ago, business broker.
Yeah.
That's a big issue.
Huge.
Big issue. So I want to turn your attention to that.
Yeah.
There are these other sources that you've mentioned, other ways of getting at it, but there is this industry out there.
Yeah.
If the people in the audience watching Fox Robbins don't know it, there is an industry out there.
Yeah. There is a business brokerage industry out there. I'm not crazy about most of the brokers, to be perfectly honest with you, but they do. They're like real estate brokers, only they don't necessarily do just real estate. They might have real estate as part of the business package, but they do understand business. Now, the one thing I want you to know, you can start looking on websites for business brokers, and there's all kinds of things listed there.
Right.
The business broker doesn't work for you. He works for the person selling the business. Yeah. Don't ever forget that, okay? So when it comes to working with a business broker, it can be a little bit exasperating at times, but they do have a handle on businesses that are for sale.
Don't you have to, one of my questions to you was, don't you have to try to ascertain if that the business broker has good business ethics? I mean, they're on the up and up.
Yeah.
And their background and experience. Are they brand new at it, or right. I mean, what's their track record?
Yeah, you want like anybody you're doing business with, you want to you're hiring an employee in a way, but it's not your employee. You want to see, are they ethical? Have they sold a lot of businesses? Has their company been in business for 15 years? Have they sold several of businesses like this? Right. And if they are, if you can get the names of people who have bought businesses from this broker, it'd be wonderful to call those people and say, how did this gentleman work with you? Don't forget.
Well, you can insist on references.
Right, you will absolutely get references from the broker. Don't forget, though, that broker works for the person selling the business, not you, but you still need to interview him.
You can check the Better Business Bureau.
You can check that, yeah.
Okay. And cost, I mean, the business broker is not free.
Well, you don't have to pay him. He's free to you. But again, he's working for the seller of the business. Yeah. And the 5 or 10% commission based on the sale, that's not paid by you. That's paid by the seller. So,
But should you know or try to know what that cost is? Because you're the one.
It would be nice to know if he's starting.
The seller of the business is actually paying the broker, but don't you want to know if that's inflated or if that's
no? It's pretty standard. It's 10%. No. But you would like to know that would he do it at a reduced price and take a 5%? But that's up to the owner of the business mostly. Yeah.
And that broker, if he or she is doing the job, they're going to do pre-screening.
Yeah. They don't want to handle, just like a real estate agent doesn't want to take your $500,000 house and put it on the market for $1.2 million. That's a waste of time. Right. The broker knows, he gets the financial statements from the owner of the business, and the owner says, I want $1 million for my business. And a smart broker is going to look at it and say, I can't get you $1 million for your business unless I get some idiot in here who's got more money than brains.
That's barely worth $200,000.
But if I have to have somebody come in and buy this business, you know, there are all ways of valuing a business, but on average, this business is only worth about $200,000. I'm not going to list it for $1 million, waste my time.
It is common for people selling their business to have an inflated, view and not be
Common. I would say 95% of them think their ugly baby is beautiful. You know, I mean, I blogged that one. I found a picture of the ugliest little baby smoking a cigar. It was worse looking than Baby Huey, was that his name? I mean, they think their business is worth a fortune. I have rarely found somebody that even has a fair value in their mind for their business. They got business, we're doing $500,000 in revenue, and I'm taking a small salary and dropping $50,000 at the bottom line. What's your business worth? $10 million. What are you, out of your mind?
And that business broker should have in mind, the matching of the buyer and the business for sale.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that's a fit.
Well, you better have understood in the beginning what kind of a business you want. Remember, we talked about that earlier in this show.
Yeah.
But the business broker should also say, you know what? You have no experience in this business, and this is a microbiology manufacturing, and you were working gardening. I mean, this isn't going to work for you either, and it's not going to work for my buyer. As a matter of fact, unless you've got the cash, if you got to go to a lender, the lender's going to say, you have no experience in this business, so you're going to waste the broker's time. So you're going to be talking to the broker about who you are, too, not an interview, but if he's smart, he's going to be interested in, well, yeah, I can see you buying and owning this business, so he's got a shot at selling it.
And he and the broker, he or she, they're going to be involved in the negotiating, but that's where you got to know that broker is working for the seller.
That's what I'm saying. He is not working for you. He is working for the seller. So you have to understand that you are going to be negotiating with the broker, and I hate to have the broker in between me and the person selling the business. I try to get them both in the room if I'm going to buy the business, because the decision maker is the owner of the business.
Right.
I don't mind the broker sitting there, but if I'm negotiating and I'm doing what I call what's known as a principled negotiation, I'm saying, you know what, here are the facts as I see them. Do you ever see the show The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis on TV?
No,
That's
you've told me about that.
And he sits there and he negotiates with the people, and he does principled negotiation. I know you want $500,000 for the business, but you know what? This is the facts. These are the facts. I've seen the numbers. Your business needs a cash infusion. I'm only willing to give you so much money for so much, and there's a negotiation going on. It's really hard to do it with just the broker as a third party. You negotiate with the broker, you give him your facts, he plays whisper down the lane with the owner. Mm-hmm. I prefer to do my negotiation directly with the owner, even if the business broker is sitting there in the room. I'm not trying to cut the guy out.
Right.
I just want to have my story heard correctly. I don't want to play whisper down the lane and he carries the wrong story to the owner.
Right. That business broker, earning his or her commission should be handling or looking into licensing and paperwork and financing, by the way. I've got that on my list to ask you.
Well, you're going to be concerned about the licensing of the business. Hopefully, a business has all its license. If it's a restaurant, obviously needs a victualar's license, need a business certificate.
The broker would know to tell you, or have that conversation with you that there is licensing, requirements.
There's licensing requirements. They are in place.
In case you don't know.
You need if you're buying a liquor store, you're going to need a liquor license, and you're going to have to get approved by the town to get that sale. But the broker is supposed to know all that stuff anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And financing. What about that?
Money. We always come back to money, don't we? Yeah. It's business, folks. It's all about money, of course.
Well, then I wanted to ask you to turn your attention to what we're calling acquisition team.
Yeah.
You just have gone through saying, well, you've got the business owner and you've got the broker he hired or he's on
her
whatever,
team, right?
And there you sit.
Yeah.
Don't you need a little support on your end of things? And that's the acquisition team. Could you talk to us about that?
Well, I mean, you should have somebody on your acquisition team that knows what the heck they're doing. No matter how much experience you have, it's good to have a good, smart team that can have another set of smart eyes, I call it, looking at the deal. Of course, you need your own accountant. Hopefully, your own accountant can look at the numbers and give you ideas as to whether or not this business is really worth even what they're asking. Your own accountant is a critical piece of your own team. Your own attorney, and I'm going backwards up here, your own attorney, of course, is going to be looking at it from a legal standpoint. Now, understand something. An attorney is not an accountant. They're not. Okay, they have one tool in their bag.
He or she might think they're.
They think they're an accountant sometimes, and they think they're. I had a gentleman come to me to trying to buy a business after business after business. Finally, he brought me one that really was right up his alley, and it was priced right. And I said to him, "Jump all over this thing," and it was direct with the owner. I said, "Jump all over this thing," and he had the money to buy the business, okay? He didn't even need a bank. He could buy the business.
Oh, goodness.
He said, "Don't worry about it, Cliff. I've got my attorney negotiating it." I said,
uh-oh.
Whoa. I said, this thing is a very good price, okay? A very good price for a very successful business. If your attorney plays hardball, don't forget, the only tool in his bag is a hammer, okay? This deal doesn't need a hammer, okay? Rein in your attorney. And make sure you get this deal done. Let your attorney make sure it's done legally and all that, but your attorney shouldn't be doing your negotiating for you when this is a good deal, right? And then I heard the business was sold, and it wasn't sold to him, okay? And I called him, and he never did call me back. He was too embarrassed, okay? No, your attorney does the legal work, your accountant gives you all the number work, and you need to understand you've got to go in and do the principal negotiation with the seller of the business.
Attorneys are necessary, they're
Absolutely.
important, crucial to the role, but leave no doubt about it, attorneys can and will be a deal killer.
They can be.
They can be.
They can be.
And I mean, you should know that going into it. If you don't know that, know it now.
Yeah, right.
And, but the accountant and the banker. I also would mention, Coach, that not all bankers, attorneys, and accountants are born equal.
No, they're all different.
And here you would want to look for a track record. I mean, has that person been involved in this or not?
In acquisitions, right.
Not every accountant, attorney, or banker can say, I've learned the hard way, I've been involved in deals,
right.
I have a track record,
Yep.
I have the scar tissue.
I like to say, yeah.
You should be, don't just say, oh, I got an attorney.
Yeah, good for you. Oh, I'm bad for you.
Well, I know Frank, and Frank's an attorney.
Yeah.
But does Frank have a track record
right.
in purchasing a business?
And helping buying a business. So you've got your attorney that's got certain skills. You've got your accountant who has some very important skills. Those are financial skills. Right. Your attorney has legal skills. Your accountant has financial skills.
Incidentally,
and your banker has the money.
Those financial skills, that involves knowledge on pricing, or pricing a business.
Valuing,
excuse me.
Right.
Valuing
right.
a business.
Right.
And there is an A technique. There are several.
Oh, there's a bunch of them.
Choice that you're going to talk about, but it's
not in this. But yeah, evaluation is a huge issue. If
you're buying a business and you don't know this, know it now. That there are several ways to look at value.
What is this business really worth? And it's all based on numbers.
An accountant who's sharp on that.
Yep.
Is a really worthwhile tool.
Absolutely,
in your kit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then before we leave that, the banker. A banker can be a long-term partner for you, both in going into buying the business and sticking with you to help you grow the business, or sticking with you when things get a little different. Your banker is a very good personal connection to you to help you grow your business.
And not all banks are born
Not all
equal.
bankers are equal, and not all banks are equal, quite frankly. There's some banks out there that I flat out tell people when they come to see me in private, don't bother going there. They're not going to help you. They're not interested in what you're doing.
There is also, in this regard, SBA, banking.
SBA backed funding.
On financing.
Yep.
That's Small Business Administration. That's the federal government.
Right.
They are capable of providing a guarantee, a guarantee to the bank.
Right.
To loan money.
Right, and that limits the risk the banker has, so that makes them more of a palatable deal to the banker.
Right. And there are other financing sources, that can be turned to.
There are a lot of different financing sources, yep.
Right.
And especially online, there's so many more coming online. Right. But again, that's another whole big subject.
So let's turn to, I want you to take comment on is what I call first look.
Yeah.
First look, what is that? That means your initial or your beginning look-see at this business, meaning that there will be additional look-sees.
Oh, there's going to be a lot.
But this is the first cut.
Right.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you, why is it for sale?
Yeah, you'd like to know. Well, you know what? The guy's 75. He's owned it for 30 years. He's been successful. He's got a great track record, and he's time to retire. His health isn't what it should be. I just made something up, of course, you know. That's a nice situation for you to go out there and find that, you know, here they've run the business all these years. It's supported his family beautifully, and now it's time for him to go to Florida in the winter and be a snowbird, and, you know, it's time for you to move in and buy the business and run it and be successful. Why is this business for sale?
And profitability, is it making money? Or there's it's always possible someone's selling a business to short-term cut expenses that makes it look like it's profitable.
Right, yeah.
But that once you take it over,
is it still going to be profitable?
Those expenses that were cut, you know, come flowing back into the business.
Right. You got this is why you need an accountant to look at the history, at least 3, maybe 5 years of history. Okay, not just financial statements, but tax returns too. Sometimes they don't match. You know, you got to look at the tax returns. You know, at least they made that much money if they paid taxes on it. But you got a lot of financial due diligence to do when you're looking at buying a business, and this is why your accountant is so important to you. If this person owns this business and they're showing a $50,000 profit, right? Well, that's one thing, and they're taking a $60,000 a year salary for managing the business, right? That's good. And they're taking 3 trips to China every year that they don't have to take, and there's another 40 grand. You can say, well, I'm not going to take those trips, so that's another 40 grand of income I'll be picking up. Gee, that's a good thing. We talk about sellers' discretionary earnings. One of the ways you can value a business is a multiple of sellers' discretionary earnings. When the owner is buying a brand new Mercedes every year, he is spending discretionary earnings. Well, you're not going to buy a new Mercedes every year. You're saying, oh, that's actually going to go to profit or salary for me, so this is a good thing. I'm glad to see him living well off his business. I'm going to do it a little differently, but this looks like a pretty good business. This guy's making a lot of money here.
Or has a family on board being paid but not necessarily productive. I mean,
well, that happens all the time. You know, 2 of his kids are on salary for, you know, 20 grand a year. And they don't even live in town, and they have nothing to do with the business, but he's taking care of his kids. That's fine. Well, there's 40 grand more that you're going to drop to your bottom line before tax because you're not going to be spending that money. All of these things are looked at in the due diligence by you and your accountant. This is why it's so critical to dig in.
Right. And other issues like market share, industry trend. Are going to be important also.
Oh, absolutely. Industry trend is critical. Is it an industry that's going up, or is it is it a buggy whip manufacturer?
Buggy whips.
Oops.
Well, Coach, thank you for all the positions that you've given us on this. This is part 1 of how to buy a business.
Part 1 of 4.
We're going to have part 2, 3, and 4, so there's a lot more to it. But thank you for watching Fox Robbins Show again. Feel free to send us comments or questions or your insights to foxrobbins@gmail.com. And thank you once again for watching the Fox Robbins Business Show, and we'll see you next time.